The day the video clip from Danielle Colby's trial was leaked and spread across the internet, social media practically exploded. The woman once known as the Queen of Vintage on American television, a rebellious icon with impeccable style on the show American Pickers, completely crumbled in the public eye. The image of Danielle with disheveled hair, tears streaming down her face, screaming and flipping a chair in rage upon hearing her life sentence being announced, became a haunting moment etched into the memory of many. A harsh truth had come to light. The television star, admired by millions, celebrated for her passion for collecting, and her unique sense of style was found to be a key player in a global criminal network involving smuggling, money laundering, forgery, and even murder. From being a familiar face on screen, Danielle Colby suddenly became the focal point of one of the most shocking scandals in the history of reality television. How did someone once regarded as a symbol of independence and a deep love for history fall into such a dark path? Was it the lure of power and wealth that consumed her, or was she merely a pawn in a much larger game that outsiders could never fully grasp? All will be revealed in this video. Part 1, from TV star to courtroom defendant. Danielle Colby's reputation was once closely tied to the image of a bold, rebellious woman on the hit reality TV show American Pickers, which had captivated audiences for over a decade. Thanks to her distinct style, striking tattoos, and masterful negotiating skills, she contributed significantly to the show's appeal. Not only did she assist Mike Wolfe and Frank Fritz in hunting down valuable antiques, but she also stood out every time she appeared on screen. Danielle was once seen as a symbol of the fusion between vintage charm and modern spirit, a source of inspiration for millions of viewers across the United States. However, behind the glitz and glamour of the spotlight, a hidden truth gradually came to light. Everything began with the mysterious death of Frank Fritz, Danielle's longtime partner on the show. Initially, it was believed that Frank had passed away due to health complications. But as investigators followed suspicious leads from bank account activity, personal messages, and testimonies from various witnesses, they uncovered a situation far more complex. Notably, the fact that Danielle and Frank's relationship had already fractured beforehand only deepened public suspicion. Several sources claimed that Frank had once threatened to expose the truth about shady transactions connected to the show and Danielle's private business dealings. Doubt quickly spread as the media began to dig deeper into the case. A flood of articles, analytical vlogs, and social media posts emerged, each filled with a multitude of theories. The hashtag justice. For Frank skyrocketed to the top of Twitter's trending list just 2 days after a leaked courtroom video surfaced. In that footage, Danielle was no longer the composed entrepreneur or sharp-witted television star that the public once knew. Instead, she was seen screaming, flipping over tables and chairs, and charging at the judge before being restrained by security. That moment not only stunned everyone in the courtroom, but also instantly became a blazing topic across all social media platforms. Online communities were sharply divided. Some people remained steadfast in their belief that Danielle was innocent, convinced that she had been framed in a much larger conspiracy. There's no way she could have done something this terrible. I've followed her for 12 years, one fan wrote on Reddit. On the other hand, many others pointed to mounting evidence, particularly FBI documents that allegedly linked Danielle to a global artifact smuggling ring. The accusations, ranging from tax evasion to illegal transportation and even murder, cast an increasingly ominous shadow over her public image. Legal experts remarked that this is one of the rare cases where the media played an extremely pivotal role. The leaked clip completely shifted public perception of the case. It triggered a much stronger emotional response from the public and may influence the jury's decision, said renowned criminal attorney Mark Neville during an interview with ABC News. He also noted that Danielle's fame could serve as both an advantage and a burden when the case goes to trial in a public courtroom. At the same time, American Pickers, a longtime source of income and emotional connection for Danielle, took a severe hit. Immediately after the official charges were announced, the producers declared a suspension of the show's broadcast, and later confirmed its permanent cancellation by the end of 2024. This news left many fans disappointed, as the show had long been considered a cultural staple of American television for nearly 20 years. The incident goes far beyond a mere scandal involving a television star. It raises deeper questions about ethics within the entertainment industry. How many secrets are being hidden behind shows that claim to be both educational and entertaining, like American Pickers? Are audiences being captivated by scripted narratives carefully designed to draw attention? The Danielle Colby case is not just about one person's downfall. It serves as a wake-up call, exposing the darker side of an industry where fame can sometimes be nothing more than a shiny facade masking illegal behavior. Part 2. The sophisticated criminal network exposed. While the public was still debating Danielle Colby's true nature, the FBI released evidence so damning that even her most loyal supporters were left speechless. The investigation, codenamed Operation Rust Rail, and launched in mid-2023, not only focused on the death of Frank Fritz, but also traced Danielle's business ventures and international connections. What the authorities uncovered turned the case into one of the most explosive scandals in American reality television history. Documents presented in federal court revealed that the operation involved over 200 special agents and experts from various departments. They closely monitored Danielle's every move for 6 straight months. The investigation reached its peak in early April 2025, when agents unexpectedly raided her lavish mansion in Iowa. From the outside, the house looked like a collector's paradise filled with vintage signs, classic vending machines, and old cars. But behind those doors was a reality far more chilling. During the search, investigators discovered an intricately constructed network of secret tunnels, leading to hidden rooms filled with valuable antiques. Inside were cultural artifacts originating from the Middle East, Eastern Europe, and Southeast Asia, all listed as internationally stolen relics. According to the FBI's initial estimate, the total value of the artifacts exceeded $120 million, making this one of the most significant antiquities smuggling cases ever uncovered in the United States. However, the confiscated relics alone weren't enough to charge Danielle with the most severe crime murder. It was the seized electronic devices that provided the crucial link connecting her to Frank Fritz's death. On an encrypted hard drive found on a personal server in her private office, digital forensic experts recovered several conversations conducted via secure messaging apps with end-to-end encryption. One particularly chilling file was titled "Cleaning Schedule." Prosecutors explained that the word cleaning is often used in criminal jargon to mean eliminating or covering up evidence. In the restored messages, Danielle used the alias Antiqueen42 to communicate with shady individuals, detailing how to take care of an emerging issue involving a person who was stubborn and uncooperative. The message thread also revealed that Frank Fritz had intended to expose Danielle's illegal operations just weeks before his sudden death. Based on the growing body of evidence, the prosecution declared, Frank Fritz did not die of natural causes. He was eliminated to protect the secrecy of Danielle Colby's illicit business dealings. Simultaneously, the investigation widened to examine Danielle's international ties. Records showed that Danielle and her associates operated a global smuggling network using shell companies registered in Cyprus, Malta, and Singapore. Multi-million-dollar transactions were conducted using cryptocurrency to obscure both identities and sources of funds. In 2024 alone, accounts linked to Danielle recorded over $502 million in anonymous transactions. What drew particular attention from investigators was the highly structured and sophisticated nature of the operation. The antiquities were sourced from conflict zones such as Syria, Ukraine, and Iraq regions, destabilized by war, and then illegally transported into the U.S. via clandestine routes. Once inside the country, the artifacts were legitimized with forged documents and sold to wealthy collectors worldwide. According to heritage crime experts, the method itself wasn't new. Exploiting war and instability to smuggle antiquities has existed for a long time. But for a public figure like Danielle Colby to be at the helm of such a network is unprecedented. Noted Dr. Amelia Rojas, a UNESCO cultural preservation specialist. Danielle had cleverly used the show American Pickers as the perfect cover to conceal the origins of the stolen artifacts. In several episodes, she was shown negotiating rare item purchases from sellers with vague or undisclosed backgrounds. What once seemed like harmless scenes have now become critical pieces of evidence in the investigation. In an unaired video leaked from the History Channel's archives, Danielle is seen haggling over a batch of Civil War-era pocket watches. When asked by a colleague about their provenance, she laughs and replies, "I don't need to know too much." A statement that once seemed innocuous now echoes with disturbing implication. By late 2024, when the formal indictment was released, authorities described Danielle as the central figure in a transnational criminal network, rivaling drug cartels in both scale and sophistication. These revelations shattered the belief held by many that she was merely a victim of conspiracy. Things became even more serious as her international associations came to light. During a hearing in January 2025, prosecutors revealed Danielle's connections to individuals already under Interpol surveillance for trafficking cultural heritage. That moment marked the case's transition from an individual criminal act to a global organized crime investigation, bringing with it additional charges of money laundering, antiquities, smuggling, and conspiracy to commit murder. In less than 12 months, Danielle Colby's public image collapsed entirely. From a familiar face, in reality television, she was exposed as the mastermind behind a worldwide criminal enterprise. Viewers who once cheered her treasure-hunting adventures are now left in disbelief and shock as her hidden truths come to light. Part 3. The Harold Clemens Case. The Fateful Pocket Watch. As the intricate details of the smuggling ring led by Danielle Colby gradually came to light, the case took an unexpected turn, one that was even darker with the emergence of a figure outside the entertainment industry, Professor Harold Clemens. The connection between a renowned historian and a transnational criminal organization, which once seemed impossible, turned out to be a critical link in uncovering the truth. And from there, tragedy began in a way no one could have foreseen. On the morning of June 17, 2023 in Bloomington, Indiana, what appeared to be an ordinary day suddenly became the center of national attention. A neighbor of Professor Harold Clemens called the police after noticing a strange odor emanating from his house. When authorities arrived at the scene, what they encountered was shocking. The body of Professor Clemens, a respected expert in the field of American Civil War history, was found in the basement, lying motionless on the cold ground, his hand tightly clutching an old pocket watch, engraved with the words, RK 187, for honor, not glory. Initially, local authorities suspected the death was due to natural causes, or an accident, as Clemens was in his 70s, lived alone and had a history of heart disease. However, after conducting a thorough investigation, a series of strange signs began to emerge. The watch he was holding wasn't just any random or anonymous item. It had been stolen from the Savannah National Museum in 2019 during a mysterious theft that was never publicly disclosed. The presence of a stolen artifact in the hands of a prominent professor right before his death raised countless questions. How did he come into possession of the watch? And why did he die under such bizarre circumstances? At that point, the case file was immediately escalated to the federal level. The investigation was no longer just about an unusual death. It had become a key link in an unfolding global smuggling network. Just days after Clemens's death, the internet was in an uproar. On Reddit, a post titled Danielle Colby and the Cursed Watch garnered over 3 million views in just 48 hours. Internet users quickly discovered that in a scrapped 2020 episode of American Pickers, which was only circulated internally, Danielle was seen holding a watch that looked strikingly similar to the one found with Clemens. She even paid an unusually high price to purchase it from a seller in Kentucky, and the footage abruptly cut off without explanation. Shortly after, several whistleblowers from the show's production crew confirmed to the media that the episode was pulled due to concerns about the authenticity of the item. One anonymous producer told Vanity Fair, "We were told to delete that footage immediately. That wasn't a routine decision." This revelation lent further credibility to the theory linking Danielle to the stolen artifact. When the FBI got involved, they uncovered even more chilling details. From data recovered on Danielle's private server, investigators found an encrypted file containing a sequence of characters related to the watch. The file, titled RK-187 List, listed not only the watch in Clemens's possession but also over 20 other artifacts previously stolen from museums and private collections around the world. This transformed the case from suspicion into formal accusation. So what role did Professor Clemens play? According to investigators, he wasn't an accomplice but was inadvertently drawn into the situation. Recovered emails from his personal account revealed that before his death, he had contacted authorities and several independent journalists attempting to warn them about an illegal antiquities trafficking network that might be connected to a prominent figure in the antiquities scene. Clemens had even scheduled a meeting with an investigative journalist to share his findings, a meeting that never took place. From that point forward, social media was flooded with theories about Clemens's death. Some believed he had been silenced to eliminate a loose end. Another theory even suggested the watch itself, rumored to be cursed, had brought misfortune to anyone who touched it. Nevertheless, investigators leaned toward the possibility that Professor Clemens had unknowingly stumbled upon a dangerous secret. According to the official report, his death was classified as an accident with undetermined cause, but the peculiar item in his possession left many unconvinced. It was merely a coincidence. Not long after, a leaked FBI video sent shockwaves through the public. In the video, agents searched a secret storage facility in Nashville, a place Danielle was known to frequent, and discovered a coded notebook documenting the illegal transportation of antiquities. One page referenced C7R1 FRA, must clear before media release, which many experts interpreted as an order to clean up to avoid exposure. That page was dated shortly after Clemens's death, further intensifying suspicions about Danielle's involvement. By this point, the case had moved far beyond the boundaries of a mysterious death. It had become a symbol of the intersection between the criminal underworld and the glittering facade of reality television. Professor Clemens, a man who had dedicated his life to preserving historical values, ended up a victim of the very legacies he cherished. The case of the fateful watch not only shook public trust in the American Pickers show, but also opened the door to one of the most complex investigations the FBI has ever conducted involving the entertainment industry. The death of Harold Clemens was therefore not just a personal tragedy. It served as a stark warning to the world of antiquities collecting, where fame, greed, and history can conspire to bring about a tragic end for anyone daring enough to step into its shadows. Part 4. From Accomplices to Producers. The sudden death of Professor Harold Clemens completely changed the course of the case. The FBI no longer considered it a simple matter involving a famous individual. The overwhelming evidence, ranging from a coded notebook to a network of shell companies, forced investigators to expand their scope of inquiry. Operation Rust Rail entered a new phase with the goal of uncovering the entire criminal organization that Danielle Colby was suspected of leading. According to the latest report in early 2025, the list of individuals under investigation had grown to nearly 60, including business partners, former employees, private collectors, and especially those who had worked directly with Danielle on the show. American Pickers. One prominent name on this list was Marcus T., described as Danielle's longtime close friend and logistics partner. According to bank records and encrypted messages gathered by authorities, Marcus T. was the one coordinating international antiquities transport transactions. He had appeared several times on American Pickers, primarily in a technical support role, but behind the scenes, Marcus ran a network of secret storage facilities and was connected to buying and selling networks in Europe and the Middle East. When arrested in New Jersey in February 2025, Marcus agreed to cooperate with investigators and provided valuable information. According to Marcus's testimony, It was Danielle who came up with the plan to use the TV show as a cover for illegal activities. We knew that items with dubious origins would be hard to sell unless we had a way to legitimize them. American Pickers was the perfect tool for this. Every time an item aired on TV, it automatically became legitimized in terms of its origin. Marcus told federal investigators. This revelation shocked both the media and the show's audience. The investigation did not stop with the close-knit team, but extended to a deeper layer. The show's producers' court documents revealed that a former executive producer known only by the alias EL was officially charged with concealing crucial information related to smuggling and falsifying production records. In testimony before the grand jury, EL admitted that the editorial team had been repeatedly instructed to cut scenes that could expose the unclear origins of items brought in by Danielle. The audience loves the story, but they don't need to know the whole truth. EL admitted a chilling statement that prosecutors cited as evidence of systematic collusion. This remark quickly spread on social media and became a symbol of moral decay in reality television. The impact extended beyond just Danielle and the American Pickers crew. The case caused a wave of repercussions throughout the entire antiques industry. Within 3 months of the case being exposed, over 150 auction houses across the United States were forced to halt the sale of items related to the show, or Danielle Colby. Many renowned museums, such as the Smithsonian Institution and the Metropolitan Museum of Art, also issued statements announcing reviews of all artifacts purchased through related channels. Some countries in Europe and the Middle East, including Iraq, officially requested U.S. assistance in repatriating stolen antiquities and launched independent investigations. The U.S. Department of Justice acknowledged that this case was one of the most significant diplomatic tensions in the field of cultural heritage in the past decade. Meanwhile, American Pickers was officially canceled. The 25-season-long show with hundreds of episodes that once attracted numerous antique enthusiasts ended in disgrace. The History Channel was also forced to issue a public apology under pressure from the public and heritage conservation organizations. We were unaware that what was happening behind the scenes was in serious violation of ethical standards and the law. This does not reflect the values we strive to convey. The statement read. Television critics immediately began analyzing the event as a deep moral crisis. The show American Pickers was once a nostalgic program that connected people with history. However, what has been exposed shows how easily reality TV can become a tool for covering up criminal behavior. Renowned critic Martha Levinson wrote in The New Yorker. Although many accomplices have been arrested, Danielle Colby remained silent throughout the trial. Her lawyer repeatedly attempted to argue that Danielle was merely a victim exploited by others in the network, and that she was simply a negotiator and not the mastermind. However, the series of evidence regarding her direct control, coded instructions, and Marcus's testimony made it difficult for the jury to believe this defense. The case is gradually drawing to a close, but its aftershocks are showing no signs of subsiding. While the FBI declared that it would continue issuing arrest warrants to dismantle the entire antiquities smuggling empire, the media has already begun calling this case the Watergate of reality TV, an event that severely undermined audience trust in this form of entertainment. Danielle Colby's downfall not only destroyed her career, but also dragged both the reality television industry and the antiques market into an irreversible crisis. From the manhunts for accomplices to exposing the methods of legitimizing illicit goods through television broadcasts, the entire picture now remains shaded in dark hues of ambition, deceit, and crime. Part 5. The Historic Trial and Danielle Colby's Reaction. In January 2025, the federal court in Chicago attracted nationwide attention when the trial of Danielle Colby officially began. Once one of the most beloved and famous reality TV stars, Danielle now faced serious charges, such as smuggling cultural heritage, money laundering, forging documents, being an accomplice to murder, and obstruction of justice charges that could potentially lead to a life sentence without the possibility of parole. The media did not hesitate to call this one of the most unbelievable and dark cases in American history. Security at the trial was strictly enforced. Hundreds of reporters, legal experts, historians, and thousands of fans gathered around the courthouse. Public tickets to attend the trial were resold at extremely high prices, sometimes reaching up to $3,000 per ticket, clearly reflecting the immense public interest in the case. On the first day of the trial, the prosecutor painted an entirely different picture of Danielle Colby compared to the image the audience once knew. She is not just someone who buys and sells antiques. She is the mastermind, the one in charge, and most importantly, she is the one giving the orders. Danielle Colby used her fame to conceal the operations of a criminal organization. Chief Prosecutor Jonathan Weiss declared before the jury, "Evidence presented was comprehensive, including encrypted messages, a ledger documenting shady transactions, emails exchanged with international partners, and notably, an unreleased video." In the video, Danielle is seen speaking with an accomplice. "If Frank says anything, he will destroy everything. We can't let that happen." Although she did not directly admit to involvement in murder, the prosecutor argued that this was clear evidence showing Danielle had a motive to stop Frank Fritz. What shocked the public was not only the evidence, but also the testimony from witnesses. Marcus T. walked into the courtroom with a tired expression, confessing to the crimes and pointing directly at Danielle, the leader. "I did what she told me to do. We all followed her orders," Marcus testified. Additionally, two former members of the American Pickers production team also took the stand and confirmed that Danielle had asked them to edit footage that might reveal shady details about the origins of certain items. However, the biggest shock came from Frank Fritz's family. During the trial, the attorney representing Frank's family read a letter he had written before his death. In the letter, Frank expressed concerns about what he had discovered behind the scenes of the show. "I don't know if I should continue. There are things that, if exposed, no one will ever watch American Pickers the same way again," the letter said. The atmosphere in the courtroom became tense, and many in attendance could not hold back their tears. Throughout the trial, Danielle Colby remained cold and silent. She only broke her silence when asked if she had anything to say before the jury began deliberating. Standing before the entire courtroom, Danielle held her head high, speaking in a calm yet meaningful voice. "History is not what we read, it is what we choose to protect." Although her words seemed to be a philosophical defense, they were not enough to erase the clear evidence before the jury. On sentencing day, all of America seemed to hold its breath. When the judge read the life sentence without parole for Danielle Colby, the atmosphere in the courtroom immediately turned chaotic. Danielle, who had maintained her composure throughout the trial, suddenly went into a frenzy. She screamed, cursed, overturned chairs, slammed the table hard, and struggled violently to the point that security officers had to restrain her by pinning her to the floor and handcuffing her. Some witnesses reported hearing her shout incomprehensible phrases like, "You don't understand history," and "We're doing this for humanity," before being removed from the courtroom. The scene quickly became a storm on social media. Within 24 hours, a video of Danielle's frantic reaction had garnered over 120 million views across platforms like TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube, far surpassing any previous video related to the case. Public opinion remained divided. Some tried to explain her actions as a mental breakdown, while others saw it as the true nature of Danielle Colby, a person unwilling to accept being exposed. After the trial, a series of leaked excerpts from Danielle's prison diary further intensified the drama. Vague, cryptic quotes such as, "Now his voice echoes in every tick of the clock," or, "He warned me, but I didn't listen. History has paid the price," left the public wondering, were these confessions or just a final attempt by someone skilled at manipulating the public? The trial may have ended, but its reverberations continued. Major TV networks called it the case that forever changed reality TV. Law schools began using the case as a cautionary tale about the dangers when media power and crime intersect. Fans were left heartbroken and enraged. To them, the Danielle Colby trial was not only the end of a beloved TV show, but also a betrayal of the trust they had invested for years. For Danielle, even though she had been sentenced and imprisoned, her story was far from over. Domestic and international authorities continued to expand their investigations. As one prosecutor said when leaving the courtroom, "Danielle Colby may have fallen, but her empire still holds many secrets yet to be revealed." Part 6. The complete collapse of a public image. Right after the life sentence was officially announced, it wasn't just Danielle Colby who had to face the shock of a lifetime. The entire world she had painstakingly built from her television career to the antique market she had dominated for over a decade completely collapsed. The show American Pickers, which once attracted more than 3 million viewers each week, along with the famous antique store managed by Danielle, were all swiftly caught up in the media storm, overshadowed by the biggest scandal of 2025. Just a week after the trial, History Channel made an official announcement. American Pickers would be permanently canceled. The network was forced to make this heartbreaking decision not only due to public pressure, but also because of legal concerns regarding the items that had appeared on the show. "We can no longer produce or air a show when its legality and ethics are under serious doubt." The channel's statement read, "This event triggered a ripple effect throughout the world of antique collecting. Auction houses immediately canceled any sales related to Danielle." According to the International Antique Auction Association, as many as 38 major auctions were postponed or canceled in the first month after the sentence was announced. Large museums around the world, from the United States to Europe, began reviewing the artifacts they had acquired through intermediaries or auctions, especially those connected to American Pickers. The entire industry was shrouded in confusion. We are living in an era where skepticism overshadows everything. A museum director who wished to remain anonymous told Art News, "No one dares to assert whether the item they own is truly legal or not." Experts suggest that this case has shaken an antique market worth over $4 billion annually, one that depends on transparency and the authenticity of items. The scandal not only had economic repercussions, but also damaged Danielle Colby's public image. Her Instagram account, which once boasted over 27 million followers, was now flooded with angry comments. "I used to admire you. Now I just feel disgusted," one user commented. "It was all a deception." Another wrote, "Although her account was quickly shut down, the damage to her reputation was irreparable." Even those who were once very close to Danielle turned their backs. Mike Wolfe, her longtime friend and co-host of American Pickers, briefly expressed his disappointment to the press. "I am completely shocked. I can't believe it. All I can say is, I had no idea about these wrongdoings." The silence from her former colleagues only heightened Danielle's sense of isolation. Meanwhile, federal prosecutors confirmed that the investigation was ongoing. They believe Danielle's network may involve dozens of other individuals and organizations, ranging from television producers to private collectors across Europe. "What we've seen so far is just the tip of the iceberg," emphasized Chief Prosecutor Jonathan Weiss. According to inside sources, many more arrest warrants are being prepared, paving the way for a second wave of raids targeting this unexpected industry. The antique market linked to reality television, Danielle Colby's fall from grace sparked a broader debate about the ethics and power of reality TV. Over the years, this genre has been criticized for distorting the truth, fabricating stories to attract viewers. However, Danielle's case highlighted an even more serious issue. When television shows not only manipulate emotions, but also serve as tools to legitimize criminal behavior, the questions of responsibility and ethics become even more urgent. "We've been too lenient with what we watch on TV," said media professor Sarah Brody from Yale University. "Reality TV is no longer just entertainment. If not properly monitored, it can open the door to serious wrongdoing. When it's all over, Danielle Colby will be left with nothing but the cold walls of a federal prison." She was once a strong, charismatic woman, admired by millions for her passion for history and unique lifestyle. But now, all that remains is memory. In a leaked diary entry, Danielle wrote, "When all doors are closed, I still hear the ticking of the clock. It doesn't just measure time, it counts down to the day the truth will be revealed." The biggest question remains unanswered. echoing not only in the courtroom and across the media, but also in the minds of millions of viewers who once admired her. Danielle Colby. Was she a defender of history, or a manipulator seeking power and profit? Was she the victim of a larger conspiracy, or the mastermind behind a dark network that spanned for years? This case may well be an indelible stain in the history of reality television. However, it also serves as a cautionary tale for a world that has grown too accustomed to consuming easy content without questioning it. Behind every frame of footage, every smile or tense negotiation on screen, how much of it is the truth and how much is just a trick, hiding criminal schemes? When the scandal storm dies down, the audience will have to face themselves. Will they be able to continue trusting the familiar entertainment world? Or will they forever be skeptical every time they turn on the TV, every time they see a celebrity express a passion for items with a history? For as the Danielle Colby case has proven, not all legacies deserve to be preserved, and not everyone holding an antique has the intention to protect history. Share your thoughts. Do you think Danielle is the culprit or just a pawn in someone else's game? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel to follow the developments in this case.